My number one tip would be that you're not a type. You are not a box. You are not. Don't let anybody box you. Recognize yourself. Recognize what attracts you, what motivates you, what you're passionate about. But don't let anybody ever tell you that you're this type of person or that type of person. Because it doesn't matter whether it's MBTI, DISC, Hogan, any of them. Any of those psychometric instruments are just useful boxes of information that provide a baseline for you to say, is this true of me? And what else is possible for me? The minute you take those things as gospel, I think that limits you. So, and I have lots of experience of these. I've been through them many, many times. And I've come to learn and understand that actually they're not the truth. They're just a useful indicator. So you will have some propensities, you will have some preferences that will be useful to understand. Comes back to understanding yourself. And you can still stretch yourself into the other areas if you want to. It's where do you want to spend your time? And it's limiting yourself in terms of your own thinking. I would invite people to avoid that at all costs. To limiting yourself.
Yeah, I think it's useful if people understand it's an opportunity to, in some ways, get a snapshot of what somebody's habits or propensities may be. But that's not the truth. That's not everything. I often talk about my first experience of MBTI, and I remember when this was presented to us as a leadership team and we were all reading our reports, and I remember the person facilitating saying, "So what do you think?" And I remember I started laughing and she said, "What's so funny?" I said, "Well, I think if my wife read this, she would be laughing her head off going, who is this person?" So what comes to mind for me is I was thinking, where was I and what was going on for me at the time that I did the MBTI assessment? Because there must be something around, context and situation in that moment. And I know that to be true, having done a number of them at different stages. Yes, there's some good insights. And I think the key thing for kids is to recognize that when I get this information, what can I do with it? So what of these traits or propensities are going to be helpful for me to take forward? And which of these are going to be debilitating? Which might I want to let go of? They might have served me well up till now, but now that I read this might not be conducive to this environment or to this part of my career. So helping youngsters recognize that this is just an insight to what may or may not be going on for them, and to recognize what's going to serve me well, what's not, and get them used to being reflective in many respects. We teach that in our masterclass, taking time to reflect and understand, what does this mean? And now what do I want to do about it? Because it is all about choice.
So I would be advising organizations to give coaching support, whether you build it internally, and we do a lot of that work. We help build internal capacity so that younger people can get access to coaching. I think is really important. Because what happens is typically coaching gets given to the senior team, and then there's this really big up-and-coming high potential bunch of people who don't get anything, and I find that very sad for me.
It's like the housing market.
I think that's absolutely a good way to put it. So how do we get those people stopping to reflect about their career, their behavior, the things that are going on? Everybody gets 360 feedback, and then they look at it and they say, well, what do I do with this? How do I shift my behavior? How do I shift my mindset? And so I would suggest as early as you can. If you can get the organization to support you with a coach, do it. Do it as quickly as you can. Because the more you are self-aware, your impact you're having, what's working, what's not working, the better. And I would invite organizations to invest in building the capacity internally as well, because I think if you do that well, and some organizations have done it well, really well.
So there are some good examples?
Yeah. We've got good examples of having done that. We were involved in one of them. And if you like, I think there were 123 external coaching assignments in the first year, and there were 570 internal assignments. That's cool. That's cool. It's extrapolated way beyond that now. So there's lots of coaching being taking place internally, and they've seen real benefit from that. So it's that kind of mindset that I think is really useful, because coaching is an individualized experience. It's a learning experience. It's not an educating. It's not a teaching. It's a learning experience. Finding out about yourself, finding out about what's important to you, and where you want to get to. So why wouldn't you want to do that?